Yes, yes. I'll sort that. I'll look into that after this. It's good to meet all of you.
It appears we are on live stream, so I better put my video on.
Yes, we would love to see you.
I'll be sending you guys the link right now. I'm sending it in the comment section of the YouTube link so that, now you guys can be able to canvas it and then can be able to tag it to Régina-Re Inspired on YouTube.
Dan, you got to do all that. You know how we do.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Daniel. I can also see that we have Mary Irungu. Mary Irungu is a young journalist and she's doing the most out here. She recently started a show and I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about that. Mary, hi.
Certainly.
Hello, Mary. Can you hear me? Okay, she probably cannot hear me, but Mary is a good friend of mine. She's a journalist, a performing artist, a voiceover actor, an actor. She's so many things all in one, like most creatives are. So thank you for joining us, Mary. I don't know if she can hear me, but we continue regardless. It's so good to be here this evening. Regina, how are you feeling about tonight?
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, please share some of that energy with me because wow, I could really use some. I receive.
I feel wonderful. Thank you for hosting me and having me here on your platform. I'm looking forward to an exciting time together with everybody.
And thank you for agreeing to be on our show, man. I don't think there's many people who've managed to host you, so I'm making history here. Okay.
I'll say that for sure. I'm not often on interviews and stuff. I'm not averse to them, but I pick and choose. So it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening.
Feeling very honored. So guys, I think I should just go on ahead and start since we are live on Zoom and also on YouTube. We'll get more people joining in later and you guys are encouraged to ask questions. We have Regina here, we have a legend. So I hope that you guys have lots of questions for her. She's here to answer all of them. You can type them in here or you could just raise your hand and you ask them to her by yourself, all right? So feel free to participate. This should be, oh, there goes Mary. Finally, she wants to talk. Mary, you can talk to us. Hi. Mary, how are you?
You can hear me? Can you hear me?
Not too clearly. Can you guys hear her?
A little bit of a muffle, but.
Mary, could you please check your internet connection? I think that could be letting you down.
Now.
Okay, no, we cannot hear you. But
you cannot hear me.
Now we can. Now we can.
Hi guys. I am so sorry for the inconvenience.
That's all right. Don't mention
it. Good. Ellah, I told you, I am in the meeting, but I am cooking, okay?
And I really appreciate you taking that time. You could learn a lot from Regina, so it's amazing that you didn't miss out on this opportunity. Karibu, mami, sawa?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me. Hi, Regina. I love your work. I am here all for it. It's okay to talk about my show, Ellah, but I think you should just continue with the show first, and then we can mention it much later on.
No problemo, as you wish.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. So our guest today, as you can see, is Régina-Re guitar. Did I get that right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Loud and clear.
Okay, good. We're a go. So those of you who may not be familiar with Regina, who's not familiar with Regina? Anyway, I think most of us recognize her from a game show in the 2000s called Who's Smarter Now? Who's Smarter Now was the best game show ever. And if you never got a chance to see it, well, I'm sorry, you missed out big time. But other than that, she's been involved in so many other things, commercials, she's a voiceover artist, she's an actor. I recently had the opportunity of bumping into her on one of the projects that I was working on. And yeah, I look forward to having more encounters with her. So welcome, Regina. We're glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation, and I look forward to some engaging sharing with everybody here.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about the art of showing up. Now, I know a lot of people think that that is rather vague, which it is because it's very wide. Showing up could mean anything, but it doesn't mean just the physical showing up to a place, how to dress up, no. Basically, what we're going to be talking about today is how to prepare for events, for interviews, auditions, because this is a group of young performing artists, and I'm sure we're all really fresh in this industry, so there is a lot to learn. So today, Regina is going to be teaching us how to prepare for a number of things that I'm going to guide her on, okay? So my friend Rodrigo, who is in charge of, he's responsible for this meeting and this show as a whole, he said that the reason that a lot of us fail, he said that a lot of us fail even before we get to try. And that is mostly because of lack of proper prior preparation. And I think everybody should get a chance. You shouldn't get to fail before you've even given it your shot. So I'm gonna talk about, I'm gonna try and narrow it down. Regina, can you please tell us a little bit about, what's that banner I see behind you, by the way? Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Well, this banner is you just reminded me it was there. It's a banner on my Pep Talk program. Pep Talk is actually an effective communication training program that I created about 7 years ago. And it is a play on words. Pep Talk is actually colloquial for just having an informal chat, but I added an extra P on it. So it's PEPP, and it's an acronym for public speaking, presentation, and the performing arts, etiquette enhancement, intelligence, personality profiling, and personal branding. And the banner, actually, if I raise it a little bit, you actually see the PEP right up there. Mm-hmm. And what the brand promise of this program is to help its participants, whomever the participants are, so long as they are high achievers. It's to help high achievers with confidence, with skill, and with impact. And the reason why I say communicate as opposed to just public speaking, which is a lot of the reason why people come to see me, they want to learn effective public speakers, is that in my journey as an actress and as a trainer and coach, because prior to the 7 years coaching, in my journey, I discovered and realized that public speaking is more than just, communication is more than just public speaking. It covers an array of areas, and I have just brought into under that umbrella of Pep Talk some of the areas that we need to be cognizant of when we feel that we want to be effective in our communication. So there's public speaking, which is the art of speaking in front of a group of people, but there's one-on-one engagements. Movement that we're doing right now on the social media platform and on this Zoom chat. But communication is more than that. There is how to manage your feelings and your emotions, which is under the umbrella of EQ, emotional intelligence. There's how to resolve disputes, which is an area that we do also cover in the program, whether disputes at home or in the workplace, and how you effectively maneuver and manage your relationships when you have disputes will create long-lasting relationships that are positive and impactful. Yeah, impactful. There's also personal branding, which is a part of communication. How do we package ourselves in a nutshell is what we're calling personal branding. And there's etiquette. In my view, etiquette is actually the umbrella under which all communication falls. But because most people seem to recognize etiquette or identify etiquette with just eating with a knife and fork, I decided that the umbrella would not be etiquette. It would actually be just effective communication. And under that umbrella of effective communication, we placed etiquette. But etiquette is really just really enhancing your relationships and relating well with other people. So all those areas are areas of communication. And so the banner, to answer your question, covers those areas. If anybody's interested in the training program, which I run, either on one-on-one basis or in groups, then I would be happy to engage them further. So what we're doing here this evening is just pulling out a few elements of what falls under the umbrella of communicating with confidence, with skill, and with impact. I mentioned high achievers a little bit earlier on, and I mentioned that this program is for high achievers. And why I have targeted specifically high achievers, whether you're a student or a person who is working or going to college or whatever it is because a high achiever, in my view, is a person that is on the move, a person that is up to something, and they're already making strides in whatever area or field that they are in, even as students. But this person recognizes that there's something about the way they come across that is wanting, something about how they communicate that could do with some fine-tuning or refining. And so this person is humble enough to realize that they're on the move, but they've got some way to go and they need some help to get them there. And this person recognizes right off the bat, by the time they see the banner or hear what I'm about and what I have to offer, they're able to say, you know what, I think that pep talk is what I need. So it's certainly not for everybody. So that's a very, very long-winded explanation for the banner behind me. So I hope I've broken the ice, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, you definitely have. And I've gotten a lot more than I'd expected. So thank you for that. And I believe that everyone who's on this platform right now, I'm optimistic that everyone here is a high achiever just by being here, because they're here and they're here to learn something. They recognize that there's something that they do not have and they can become better by participating in such an engagement. So effective communication is a skill that a lot of people lack. It is so underrated, and I feel like growing up, a lot of us have not been taught how to communicate effectively, and that gets in the way of our success most of the time. So in this case, for performing artists, Regina, I'd like you to help us understand how we should prepare when we're going for a job interview in the performing arts, or as a media personality, or in this case, as an actor. If I'm an actor and I want to prepare for an audition, what are the steps that I'm supposed to take in order to ensure that I represent myself in the best possible way. How should I prepare physically, mentally, and also professionally? So if you don't mind, we could start with something like an audition. You're an actor, you've auditioned. How should we prepare for those?
I will take it from the perspective, as you've mentioned, from where I come, from the space that I have journeyed, as many auditions as I've gone through and just share one simple thing that a lot of people miss when they are called for an audition. I heard you mention earlier in interview, and for the purposes of those who are not artists and not actors, an interview is more official or corporate when you go in for that. If you're going to, look for a job as a receptionist or a banker or, and something like that, we call it an interview. But whenever you are talking about anyone in the arts space, and arts being anything from dancing to going for a voiceover audition or going to, look for a role in a TV show or commercial, we call it audition. And it's pretty much the same thing. But in the art space, we say we are going for an audition. And so what is it that we need to do to prepare for an audition? I'll take an example of, let's say, going for a TV show or a film. A lot of people are called for auditions. And what is very important for us to do when we get called for an audition is to do as John C. Maxwell, a leadership guru, a global leadership guru, says, ask questions. Somehow we've been socialized not to ask questions. In our upbringing, we are told to do and be seen and not heard. And this has been to our undoing. But asking questions is fundamental as we prepare ourselves for auditions. I got a call for an audition. Regina, we need you to come and play the role of, come in for an audition. So immediately right off the bat, when I get that call or when I get that text message or WhatsApp, I need to ask, what is the role for? Who am I playing? What age am I supposed to be playing? Because as artists, we play a range of ages. We don't play the age that we are chronologically. Like, this is how old I am. If I'm 45 or 60 or 80, then I say I'm only playing an 80-year-old. No. As artists, you give yourself a window of 10 to 15 years. So you can play anywhere from age, let's say 20 to 30 to 35. And so when you go in for an audition, you want to talk about the age range that you play as opposed to mention your exact age. That's number one. So we're going back to preparation. So ask questions. What range am I playing? What age am I playing? What is the demographic in general of the character? You're no longer you, Ellah, when you go in for that audition.
Yeah.
What you are is character. You're going to character. And that's what we often tend to forget. And so if the character calls for dreadlocks or a wig or short hair or whatever it is, then it's not for you, Ellah, to say, well, I don't wear wigs or I don't do my hair in braids, because you want to give yourself the best shot at getting or winning that audition. And so if the audition calls for a particular hairdo, then it behooves you to attempt. Sometimes it's not possible because if they ask you to go bald, you really have to think about that if you have.
Yeah.
But if there are things that you can do to manipulate your look, then it's important to know what those things are. And you can only know by asking questions. So ask as many questions as you can. Don't feel like you're being offended by asking the casting director or the producer or whoever it is that calls you as many questions as you can about the role that you're playing, because this is what's going to help you prepare for the part. Anybody who knows me knows that I have different looks. Right now, I've shown up with my natural colored hair, afro. But if you look at this picture right over here, I look very different, right?
Who is that?
And so depending on what role I am playing, I will wear a different costume and hat for it. So that's one of the things that we have to train ourselves as artists to do, is to ask questions. Then we move on to, well, they want us to do a script, read a script. Ask them, how do you want me to prepare? Do you want me to read my own lines? Do you want me, are you going to send me a script to read and memorize? Or what is it? What is it that you have me do? Remember, when you're going in for an audition, you are a product. You're no longer who you are as an individual. You are a product. So you're going to package yourself. And this is where the branding comes in. You package yourself in readiness for the role that you're going to play. Failure to which you go there and you will be ill prepared. And when you're ill prepared, you'll feel it, you know it, because you see a room full of people who look exactly like you, because the casting director is going to call people for that role that look pretty much like you. They have the same demographic. They look the same, they appear the same, they have the same body type, perhaps the same height, because when the casting director, and a casting director is really a person, for those of you who may not know, who is responsible for looking for the cast, the people that will play the roles in different films and productions. And their role is to sift through several hundreds of photographs and pictures and video of people who will fit what we call the brief of a commercial or a film. A brief is a basic synopsis of the characters that they're looking for. And so when you walk into that audition room, you will find people that look exactly like you, Ellah. And if you are not prepared, at least physically, with the right hairdo and the right costume, then you will feel it the moment you walk into that room. And then your chances of securing that role might be watered down because you did not prepare yourself well. So I like to use the line, prior proper preparation and practice prevents a poor performance. And you can actually use that even as a tongue twister as you prepare yourself vocally to present an audition. Prior proper preparation and practice prevent poor performance. That's only one of the things.
I really like that one. It's a nice tongue twister and something. It's really nice for getting your vocals warmed up. I could use that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought I'd interrupted you there. Are you done?
Well, you know, I'm talking so much. I'm hoping that maybe there's another question coming in. So as I said,
does anybody have a question? Because personally, I am so engaged and I'm even taking down notes. So guys, if you do have a question, please raise your hand or just type it in the chat box and I'll read it out to Regina, okay?
And following the brief, just ask questions. John C. Maxwell says it, ask questions. And I always tell people, if I'm in your space for at least 10, 15 minutes, then use me to the best of your ability. Ask the questions that you can, because you never know when our paths may or may not cross again.
True.
So questions, yes.
Okay, I have a question. How do you get rid of the nerves during an audition? Because this is something that I'm sure basically everyone has gone through. Feeling really nervous, even when you're well prepared. I think it's only human. So how do you get rid of the nerves?
I think the statement getting rid of the nerves is one that has been used often. And even when people come to my sessions for public speaking, they say, first issue that they have is my nerves, and I want you to help me get rid of them, lose the nerves. But what we need to understand, and this is why we do personality profiling, and we get into the subject of understanding oneself, understanding fears. And it's important for us to recognize that nerves is a symptom. The symptoms of nerves are the same, whether you're getting up to or you're about to run. the Olympics or swim in the Olympics, the symptoms of nerves are, for some people, sweaty hands, some people shake, some people have quivering voices, some people actually have, you know, what they call butterflies in their stomach and rumbling movements and stuff like that. And those symptoms are just the body's response. The body's response to, it's preparing itself to embark on what the mind perceives as this huge activity, whether you're swimming, running a race, or speaking in public, or doing an audition. It is what we call the fight or flight response. It's a physiological expression or manifestation for what is going on in the mind. The body, the mind, your body releases chemicals that help it prepare itself to get moving, to get going. And if you didn't have this type of adrenaline pumping through your body to prepare yourself for this gargantuan activity of auditioning, then oftentimes you wouldn't be ready. You wouldn't be as ready. And incidentally, these nerves that you start to feel when you're getting up on stage only last for a few seconds, actually. If you time it next time, you'll feel the nerves, but after a few seconds, the body relaxes. It's pumped enough adrenaline through your system to get you through your audition or the race that you're about to run, etc. So the idea of getting rid of nerves is a misnomer. You actually can't get rid of your nerves. You absolutely can't. And you would be surprised to know that anybody who is living and breathing experiences the symptoms of what we're calling fear. And it's your body's response to preparation for this big activity. So whether it's you, Ellah, or me, or anyone on this chat, we can all share, and then perhaps you might want to share in the chat, just for conversation's sake, what are your symptoms of what we call fear or nerves? The word fear has gotten a bad rap, really, because fear is a good thing. It is the body's way of preparing itself. So instead of going into a situation saying, I am afraid, I am fearful, I am nervous, as a negative, just say, I am fearfully excited about the situation that I'm getting into. I'm fearfully excited about this race that I'm going to run, because that is how your body prepares itself. So you can't get rid of nerves. Then what can you do? What you can do is you can learn how to manage your symptoms of fear. And everyone's symptom of fear is slightly different from the other. I may experience certain things, you experience certain things. So tip number one, start to recognize, what is it that my symptoms of, how does my body manifest fear? How is fear manifested in me, for example? I know what happens to me. My hands start to shake. I get really, really nervous. And if I'm holding a glass of water or something, it will just be doing this, shaking, right? And then the other thing that happens to me is I have a buildup of acid in my gut. And this even happens before I've even reached an event sometimes, depending on how much esteem I've given an event. My symptoms start to come in. They start to check in from even before I reach the event, like from the time I'm at home. I start to feel the palpitations. But more than that, I tend to have an acid buildup. So my stomach starts burning. And before I understood what that was, I was like, I used to tell people I have what is the thing the people have when they have acid buildup? Like the heartburn.
Heartburn?
Yeah, but I didn't realize that heartburn only came when I was going to do a performance or a gig or something like that.
Because you're nervous.
Yes, because I'm nervous until I started watching what it was that my body was doing and listening to my body. So it behooves each and every one of us to listen to what our body is saying to us. 10 to 1 chance is sending you messages and saying, listen to what's happening internally, physically, physiologically, mentally, and see how you can mitigate that. So for the long, when I received those symptoms of fear, the heartburn, and the symptoms of that was, the burning in my stomach, which was really painful. I would just take an antacid. I would take an antacid even before going for an event. Depending on how big that event was, I would take that antacid before I reach, because I already know what's happening. It's my body preparing itself. My mind is working, and my body physically now is suffering the effects. So I take an antacid, and what happens is it just mellows. And by the time I get to that event, the heartburn has subsided. What I call the fear has gone, and I'm ready to go. Okay. The other thing that helps mitigate this, what we call fear, manage our fear, is to do exactly what we're talking about. Preparation, prior preparation. I'm shrubbing now, which is okay.
Prior proper preparation and practice prevents poor performance.
And how often do we prepare? The subject we're discussing today is how we show up. How do we show up? The 3 things that we want to ask ourselves when it comes to the question of showing up is why, is when, and is how. So what we want to ask ourselves is, how do we show up? We need to prepare ourselves beforehand, before going to that activity. So if we're going for an audition, have we prepared for it? Have we prepared our wardrobe? Have we prepared ourselves psychologically before we show up at the event? Or do we just show up, as we say in Kenyanese? I love this one, anyhowly. If you're going to show up anyhowly, what we're talking about is Kenyanese. I love me some Kenyanese.
Oh, you gotta love some Kenyanese.
You're in trouble. You show up anyhow, you are in trouble. You suffer the effects. So prepare yourself. Get that rest at night. You cannot tell me that you're going in for a job audition or an interview, and then you're staying up all night. You don't give yourself adequate rest. Some people.
How many hours of rest do you get at night, Regina?
Let me talk about how many I ought to get. I ought to get at least. And I know that just because for health and well-being, it is my belief that the more hours you get to rest, it's part of giving your body a chance to rejuvenate and your cells a chance to rest, etc. So ideally 8 hours is good, but if I get 6 in, that's a good night. If I get 6 in, that's a good night. Because I'm an early bird, I tend to rise quite early. My system just wakes up. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up. I have to force myself if I need to sleep longer than that. And so what I had to do as a result is force myself to sleep by 10. I tried 9, it doesn't work. So being consistent about the time you go to bed is better for you than the number of hours you sleep. So
really,
better to sleep, train your body to sleep at a certain time at night, or if it's during the day, because some people work at night, at the same time, and wake up at the same time. That way your body clock is regulated. So even if you do sleep 4 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, then the body is at least regulated it's regulated.
Well, while we're still on that issue of sleep, I just realized that one way my body manifests fear or my nerves before an audition is insomnia. So you're here talking about getting enough rest, which makes total sense. but my body just won't let me sleep. I get severe cases of insomnia the day before a big day. So I find that on the day of the audition or this big event, I'm not well rested, and that already gives me the nerves.
But what you can do, I used to do night gigs. I used to have gigs at night where I was hosting functions or singing at night. And because I know my body clock, my afternoons, I tend to be, winding down. I would force myself to actually take a nap in the afternoon if I have a gig in the evening, so that I can give myself a good shot at showing up and presenting well wherever it is that I go. So in your case, it might be useful to save the daytime for at least getting a few hours, a cat nap or something in the afternoon, so that in the evening, when you know your body is absolutely not able to sleep, then that's okay. Just wake up and read a book or do some writing. And then when I wake up, sometimes even at 2 or 3, I've trained myself not to force sleep, because there's a reason your body is just waking up. Your mind is alert, it's awake. So now what I do, even if I slept at 10 o'clock, if I wake up at 2 o'clock, rather than forcing myself, I gotta sleep, I just decide I'm going to get up and do something constructive for a couple of hours, and then go to sleep at about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then sleep slightly longer into the evening. So just watch your body and see when is it that you're because at some point during the day your body does feel like it needs to rest and have some downtime. So just go ahead and give yourself permission to take that rest. Don't force yourself to work all day and work all night and all that. That's not necessary. Pick times in your day. As I mentioned, some people work at night, people who do the night shift and stuff like that. But at some point during the 24-hour clock, they have to get some rest. So you pick, you decide.
Okay. Thank you for that. That could really come in.
I'm actually
sorry.
By the way,
you're lagging.
I'm a very good example of an owl.
Rodrigo, there's a lag on your side. Hello, are you there? Okay, I think we lost him.
Okay, I guess we can go on.
But that's all right. We actually have a question from Fidela. Thank you. Finally, a question from the audience. So Fidela says, how are you able to navigate the script as an individual, both incorporating the character description, the director's notes, and the aspect of giving a part of yourself to the character to humanize the script? Because sometimes you may feel like the many notes from everywhere may really kill the character for you, because you feel like is the director's this way, the script says that other thing. So how do you humanize a character without getting confused? Do you get the question?
It sounds like many questions in that question.
Well, I think what she's trying to say is, how are you able to take in the script without you listen to your director and the script writer and yourself. So how are you able to incorporate all of that in one?
This is the space that I come from when it comes to the performing arts. And this is what I learned many years ago, is that when it comes to the arts, there's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy. And oftentimes the executive producer and the director are at the top of that hierarchy. And then you have everybody else fall down on that the rung. And the actor is responsible, yes, for interpreting, for understanding the script, reading their lines, internalizing, and bringing the director's ideas of how they want the character to appear on screen, to life. So we are employed at the moment that we are actually doing our lines and performing on the set or on the theatrical stage. We are employed by the director. And so the director takes a skilled actress or actor who knows how to react and act and perform. And most important to being an effective actor is to take direction. And many times we come into an audition room with our own ideas of how we want to do something. And that's all well and good, because of course you have to start with something. You have to start stirring the pot before you realize that either you're stirring it too fast or too slow. But then the person who knows how to make that mukimo or that ugali the right way, they've been doing it the right way, and you are taking direction. You have to take direction from them. And they're saying, okay, once you have the water boiled or whatever it is, do this. So I already have my idea of how I want to make that ugali or cook that stew. Okay. And I can do it my own way. But when I am in an executive kitchen, I need to listen to the executive chef. I'm just a sous chef or, a prep chef or, somewhere down there. And the same goes for being an actor. We must take direction. And so when I am on set, and as much as I've learned my lines, or when I go in for an audition, or when I'm delivering the lines, I always ask this question: how do you want me to play this? What would you like me to do? How would you like me to play this character? How is this character supposed to come across? Now, oftentimes we have our heads full of, I'm a star, I'm beautiful, I'm well known, I know how to act, so I'm not going to listen to nobody. And that's to your own undoing. And so we find that on a set, there can only be one boss, and that's the director. And if I cannot take direction, then the director will soon know that. And you may not be usable in the rest of that script or in future productions. You'll just be tagged as can't take direction because they already know it all. Now, it is also true that the director will say, play it your own way. Let's see how you do it. And it could be the way you played the role and the way you've did is actually what the director was looking for. And if it's not, they'll say, well, actually, why don't you play that character a little softer or a little this or a little that, okay? But at the end of the day, the director's up here and we're as actors. So we can do our thing and experiment as much as possible, but we need to be able to deliver the lines and present the character according to the vision of the director. Not even so much the writer of the script. The writer of the script may have some input, but it's really the director who calls the shots. I don't know if that's useful.
It is. Well, to me it is. I don't know if that answers your question, Fidela. I really do like the kitchen analogy you used. It makes very much sense.
In fact, I'll also say this, if I may, when it comes to acting, I'm on set and just out of courtesy, a wardrobe person or a hair person, makeup person, or wardrobe, or anybody who is there in charge of getting us ready, because we have a whole team of people responsible for getting our hair, makeup, clothes ready behind the scenes. And they'll say, okay, what do you think about this outfit? Or what do you think about your hair? And they're asking out of courtesy, but quite frankly, it really doesn't matter what I think about my hair and what I think about my costume when I'm on set, because I am playing a character. And the wardrobe person is responsible for filling the brief of how this character ought to be dressed on that set, filling the brief about how this character's makeup and hair ought to look. It's not my personal opinion as Regina or you as Ellah to say, no, I don't like my eyes like that, do it like this or this. No, 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 no. I'm a product. You just make me up the way you feel. Now, of course, if some look goes against your values and your morals and, you know, who you are as a person, by all means, you put up your hand and say, no, this won't work for me. And you are allowed to express your opinion. But I'll say in the grand scheme of things, it's not your place. You're there to deliver your lines and play the part. Does this make sense?
It does, but in some instances, okay, for example, on some sets that I was a couple of months or years ago, sometimes you find that it is everyone's duty, both cast and crew, to go through the script and make sure that they fully understand each character's needs, right? But unfortunately, some of the crew members, cast and crew, some people don't do that kind of preparation. So you find that, say, wardrobe, you're on set and they're dressing you for a particular role, but it's as if they never even got a chance to look at that script, because what they're dressing you in, I mean, sure, that's what they think is right, but then you, as the actor, you feel that that's just not going to work for your character. Shouldn't you say something about that?
Yes, you are absolutely right. You're on point with that. I have found myself in a similar situation where I am playing the role of a mother of 3 grown-up children who are helping run a company, and the wardrobe persons think it would be a good idea to dress me, who is supposed to be representing a mom and a grandmother, the same way as she or he has dressed her kids. And so I'm like, why did this character, me, look like her children? There's absolutely no way that should be the case. We should not look alike. So yes, it is important to bring up, if you've understood your role and your character, then it is completely in order to say, this is not in line with what my character is. What do you think? And of course, we can be respectful about it. We don't have to say, I'm not wearing this because.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, definitely.
This skirt is a little bit too short for a 70-year-old mom and grandma. I mean, if I was in the club, I would wear that, but I'm on set.
Not in front of kids.
And so it is important also to be aware and awake when you are being dressed and made up, but not for you to let the wardrobe and makeup and hair people relegate the responsibility of wardrobe, hair, and makeup to you. Because if you allow that to happen, then indeed it will be your job.
Okay, let everyone stick to their lane. Everybody do their job. Okay. Yeah. All right. Wow, it's already 8:25. Time flies, man, when you're having fun, right? Okay, so I think we should be winding up soon, but I see that we do have one question from. Just a minute. I lost the question.
Grace asked a question, yeah.
Could you read it out for me, for Regina?
Actually, I can't even see it. But what she was basically asking, if I remember, because my internet keeps throwing me out, is how are you able to break into the industry? And was this your career path from the word go? Was this what you wanted, Regina? Grace, I hope I got that right.
Yes, correct.
I feel that I'm privileged to be in a school that really emphasized on the arts, emphasized what we call now extracurricular, because when we were growing up, our schools, the arts were not extracurricular, they were just part of the school system. So whether it was sports, running, javelin, netball, hockey, shot put, things that our young people today, sports that they seem like foreign concepts. Between the sports and then the arts by way of music and theater and choirs and music festivals and all that, I feel that I was privileged to be a part or in a school that really emphasized the arts from a very young age. And so I found my place, and I decided, unlike so many, to continue along that line. I studied mass communications in college, but I went in initially as a music major for about a year, and then I switched to mass communications. But I felt that background was really enhanced when I was in primary and high school. So that really helped. And so it's important for those who may be parents on this platform or planning to be parents eventually, is to mold your children holistically and allow your children to be molded holistically from academics, math, English, sciences, geography, and all that, but also from the arts, from dancing and the theater and all that stuff, because you just never know where it would lead an individual. And we're all crafted differently, so we can't expect that everyone's going to be a doctor and a lawyer. And what I'm happy to say about the industry now and the space that we're living in now is that we are more than ever before, especially when I was growing up, we are embracing artists and musicians and dancers and, you know, very specialized areas of the creative industry, directors and even people behind the scenes that we never see, but they're useful and they play such essential roles, from the gaffer, the lighting, to you know, even the runner, the boom operator. All these are technical departments that I'm mentioning, but they're all a part of the arts, and you know, we don't recognize them, but they are part of what keeps us, the rest of the world, entertained, inspired, informed, motivated, and persuaded even to make changes on a global level. So I'm very, very excited for where the creative arts are taking us. But we have to, let me just add, we have to know that the being on stage is only 5%. What we do behind the scenes in preparation, how we show up, how we prepare mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, is and even as a business is the 95% that oftentimes we don't consider. So we really have to also understand, and that could be another conversation for another day, the business of being an artist. How do we support ourselves as artists? How do we ask for the fee that we know we ought to be paid? Without coming across as abrasive? You know, there is a whole industry out there that are living on their craft and their art, but it's not easy. So understanding the business of being an artist is important. Knowing your worth, and if you know your worth and package yourself accordingly and offer value in who you are, who you be, and what you have to offer, then, you know, more times than not, people will be willing to compensate you accordingly. And if not, all is not lost. We live to see another day.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. But while we're still on career paths and all, Mary, Irungu, and Fidela are curious about whether you ever had doubts at some point about the path that you chose, the career path. Because that is a problem that a lot of artists face here in Kenya. So did you ever have doubts?
What I will say about what I do is I don't do one thing. I think now we are called to be multifaceted and to learn as much as possible about different ways of income generation, different ways that we can generate an income, because we cannot in this day and age rely on a singular path. And so answering that question might be difficult, because then it suggests that I only act on stage or do film. And that's not the case. I do a variety of things. And so I've never been discouraged by being an artist, because I've always been true to what my goal and my vision is, and my personal mission statement. And so it really doesn't begin from the path you decide to take in terms of which career path. Am I an artist and stuff like that? Where this whole conversation really ought to start is, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What were you designed for? What are your skills, talents, and abilities? And how can you align those skills, talents, and abilities with what you believe your purpose is? And if you're able to answer those questions for yourself, and it will take a while if you've never done it before, then you will never really look down on anything that you choose to do, whether you decide to become a chef or a kindergarten teacher or an actress or a vocalist, because you are walking along the path that was designed for you to walk on. And it's not to say that the road is not long with many a winding turn. The road is long with many a winding turn that leads us to who knows where, who knows when. I just have to go there. Yes. And it will have bumps and winding turns, and you may not even see the light at the end of the tunnel. But what you have to guide you is your personal mission, your vision. What is it that you are crafted for? So I'm speaking to those who are not just artists, because oftentimes, if we find ourselves getting consistently discouraged by whatever it is that we choose to do, whether it is going for auditions and not winning them, or being an accountant, or working in an office somewhere, or the bank, or the hospital, if we keep on asking ourselves, why am I here? Why am I here? I need to leave this place. This is a dead-end job, or whatever. If we keep on getting down on ourselves for whatever it is we've chosen to do, chances are you are not following your God-given purpose. You're on the wrong track. And not everyone was made to be a vocalist. Not everyone was made to be an artist. Somewhere along the line, you may have stumbled into it and felt, whoa, this is where I belong. And in other regards, you've been struggling and pushing, trying to make ends meet and make headways in this industry, and keep getting discouraged, and it's just not panning out for you. Then probably you need to investigate. Are you really following your true purpose?
It's good that you're talking about purpose. And in case anyone here is struggling to know what their purpose is, I have the perfect movie to recommend for you. There's an animated film called Soul, starring Jamie Foxx. I watched it and it was a really, really good film, and I would totally recommend it to you. Watch it and ponder on the things that you learn in the film, because it's very instrumental.
Good stuff. We'll certainly watch that one. Thank you for recommending.
You're welcome.
I feel like we've just not even touched the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to share, but the time is short.
I know, right? I personally have so many questions to ask, but I believe we're out of time, and I would really, really appreciate if we could just we could have these kind of engagements more often. So I will try to keep contact with you. I feel like everyone is so grateful for being here. Fidela says, thank you, so uplifting. Vic Art is also recommending Soul.
Hold on.
Sorry?
I want to coach you right here. You said I will try to be in contact. Now, this is the coach in me. Don't try. Try is tentative language. Try is giving yourself an out. If you want to be in contact with me, say, I will be in contact with you.
Well, I will be in contact with you, Regina. I will be in contact with you.
Oftentimes when we say try, we're giving ourselves an out. So that if it doesn't happen, you say, well, I said I'd try. But now you are committing to. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Ellah.
Thank you. You made me commit to this very much live. So I don't think I can go back on this. I have no option but to be in contact with you.
And what I say to a lot of the people who have crossed my path and who I've trained and I've coached, because more than teaching, I train and I coach. Coaching is a lifelong thing, is that you can inbox me if you have a question, you want a query answered or some advice on something that I can just, send you a quick message on. I'll be happy to answer your questions because, hey, I know what my mission and vision is. I know what my...
How can we reach out to you? Social media handles, maybe your email, any contact info?
You can look for me on Régina-Re Pep Talk. What was it? Daniel, my social media person. What's my email address?
Wow.
Why I surround myself with people who know more than me. Daniel Duncan is one of them. Rodriguez is another. And a few of you are here. And I'm not ashamed to say there's some things I'm totally not good at. Daniel, what are my social media handles?
Is Daniel here?
I think he's here, but he's disappeared. Daniel, if you
I'm
answer,
here.
you can always, you are here, yeah? Oh, awesome. There you are. Sema.
Yes, I can share on via the chat, or I can. Or can I?
Sema tu tusikie.
Instagram, Régina-Re, the one. Facebook, Régina-Re, Gitao. Then the page is Pep Talk. The
and the website being designed. Regina.
Regina.com.
Yeah.
There you go. And the YouTube link. Don't forget the YouTube. Régina-Re Inspired.
Yay!
Yeah.
Regina is my YouTube channel that you can reach out to me on, or you can just holler on this chat, and we'll be able to get your contacts. Okay. So Instagram, Pep Talk, Régina-Re Pep Talk, Facebook, Pep Talk, and you can inbox me on Régina-Re Gitao on Facebook as well. And hey, let's chat.
Can we just take a moment to notice how your outfit matches with the color that is behind how deliberate you're showing up here is, so much so that almost your what is it called, lipstick, it looks like it complements what you're wearing and the color that you have.
They say a true brand image is deliberate, consistent, and sincere. There's got to be some distinction in how you show up. All are important to me. All, how many of you? 17, 14 of you. You are 17, yeah. And then we've got you all streaming, and you're important to me. So it's important for me to show you how important you are by how I show up. I could have shown up, but nah. You're important.
Okay. I mean, before Ellah ends the show, I just want to have one more question before Ellah ends the show. What advice would you give Ellah, who's a bad actress, and Stella?
Lost it for a second there.
Sorry, Ellah, who is a professional upcoming actress, and Stella, who's a journalist and a TV host. What advice would you give them, Regina, and everyone else here who's basically just yearning for that chance to get that one shot, and for those who have already gotten that one shot, so to speak?
Number one, I would say just recognize that in this business, I'm reading something here that somebody said, I'm sorry, I got distracted by a comment there. In this business, you are, you know, it might sound crass to say this, but you're only as good as your current gig. The show that you're on, the TV show, or the film production that you're on, whether it's a feature film or the theater production or that concert that you're performing in, you're as good as that. And so you must constantly be in the business of getting better at your craft, by whatever means possible. Always work on yourself. If it's vocally, work on your diction, work on your projection, work on your volume. If it's physically, and you know that your attire leaves something to be desired, work on that. If it's whatever it is that you need to work on it. If it's your attitude, if your attitude sucks and you've heard it enough times, don't catch feelings. If enough people have told you got a bad attitude, then don't talk about, that person is just annoying me or just looking down on me or doesn't like me. No, ask yourself, what's going on here? How come I keep hearing the same thing from the same people? Work on your attitude. Okay. And keep on getting better at what it is that you're doing. And if it's helping you and helping somebody else, keep on trucking, keep on doing it. But if it's not helping you, and if you have to ask yourself, why am I here? And why am I doing this day in and day out, regardless of whether you're an artist or you're in a dead-end relationship, then it's time to get a step in. There's so much green grass out there. Go look for it.
Well, I just feel like you deserve a standing ovation. Even Fidela says she's so inspired that she feels like she can run all the way to Narok and back. So inspiring. Okay, this has been very, very productive. You have been very instrumental in helping us understand a bit about the art of showing up, because clearly people have so many more questions to ask. So hopefully we'll get another chance to do more of this. But as for tonight, I think we've achieved our mission. And thank you very much for coming on board to everyone. It means a lot that you could find time to just be on this platform and engage with Regina and myself. Do have a good night, everyone.
I look forward to more engagement. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being on this platform. And thank you for hosting me, Ellah. Keep on doing what you're doing and keep on shining. I look forward to more.
Thank you.
Yay. Anyway, so thank you guys for coming to Ananeni. Tomorrow, Ellah is having Chris Adwar tomorrow. So see you tomorrow.
All right, tomorrow with Chris Adwar. Good night, guys.